Uh, Todd, I mean, we are just so grateful and honored that we've been joining you at Sales Mastery for coming up on 6 years now, out of your whopping 25. I mean, just excellent. And yeah, we've got the experience firsthand, the value of the speakers and the content, and we know that this is hands down the best mortgage event, growth event of the year. Everyone is in their seats, really engaged. I mean, it's just incredible in the content. But yeah, and I was just kind of curious to talk specifically about one topic that we're passionate about, but a little bit about the lifetime value of a client and how it relates to gift giving, and just really what your thoughts and philosophies are on that.
Yeah, I think, one of the things I thought about before we jumped on here was that this idea that relationship is at the center of humanity, right? And I think that in the mortgage space, and certainly why we've been able to have the good fortune of a 25-year run with Sales Mastery, is because we talk to the art of relationship. And I think what people in the mortgage business need to understand is that if you're in relationship with a human being, and in this case, let's just call it the borrower, right? And if you are in a deep relationship with that borrower, there should be no reason whatsoever that they are not reliant upon you, committed to you, and devoted to you for every one of their mortgage experiences for the rest of their life. And I think the stats are just scarily poor. I had a chance to talk with a client today, and they've determined that 4 out of every 5 buyers that they do business with do not come back. And it could be a service issue, but more than likely it's not. More than likely it's a connection issue, right? And so when I think about gifts, I think about surprises. I think about gifts that can be received with kind of this wow factor, and that then can be utilized on a regular basis as a reminder of that connection. I knew we were jumping on here, and so I went to my drawer and I pulled out one of my Cutco knives, and I use this knife at least 5 days out of 7. And, it's got something on there I remind myself of, that I'm the sharpest leader around. Thank you for making me feel super special. My staff's of this on my desk this morning, and they were a little bit worried about what was going to happen as a result of that. But I literally, you guys, since you gave me this knife, I have used this probably 300 days out of every 365 for the 5 years that I've owned it. And that speaks volumes to what we need to do in the mortgage space. It's not gimmicky. It's not cheesy. It's not going to be ditched and thrown away. And when I think about a client that could be worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in commissions over my life as an LO, why would I not want to keep everybody that I've served once for the second, and twice for the third, and third for the fourth? Why would I not want to do that? Here's the other thing. I think that when you understand the lifetime value of a client, it'll change your perspective about your connection with them. If I see value in a client for life, I will call that client. If I don't see value in a client for life, I'm going to be prospecting my whole life. So I think the lifetime value is huge. It should shift. It should shift the entire way that you do business. And yeah, so I guess that would be. I would say to everybody, calculate that. What is the value of a client? And if you're making 3 or 4 grand a deal, and that client can help you find one person a year to serve, that client in 10 years is worth $40,000-$50,000. Forget their repeat business, just the referability. And those ecosystems can be bigger than even just one more loan.
So as a rainmaker, top LO, typically we have the hunter mindset, right? We're hunters. That's just how we are wired. We want more business. We're going after it, prospecting, lead gen. That all comes very natural to us, right? And so what I found is that intellectually you have to understand lifetime value of a client, right? And really go from that hunter mindset to farmer, right? So I think easier said than done though, right? Especially with some of the personalities out there. How do you think one makes that mindset shift from going from hunter to farmer, of building relationships, so you really can run a business that's 60, 70, 80% repeat referral, beautiful business, profitable, still crank out a lot of deals? But if you're wired as a hunter mindset, what are some good ways to really make that shift to farmer of raving fan relationships?
Man, Adam, that question could just go nuts on me right now. So I think that there is I think one shift that should occur in your mindset is, where do you hunt, right? And so the question is, are you hunting from the perspective that you need somebody else to do business with you? Or are you hunting from the perspective that you want to continue to deepen a relationship with the people that you've already successfully consummated a business relationship with? And I think there's a real interesting, I think, shift in mindset. I would rather be a developer than a hunter. I would rather develop my real estate agents, and if they don't have the kinds of gifts that allow them to think about you every time. I mean, if your agents don't have these, they should have them. Because again, it's top of mind awareness, and there's this decay of relationship that begins to happen if you are constantly hunting for new business. So what I would do is I'd shift my mindset. I'd shift my mindset to that of a harvester. And a harvester is a relationship that I've already hunted, but now I'm developing and I'm harvesting. I'll just give you two examples. We have a brand new high trust loan originator diagnostic that's out in the marketplace, and the stats are fairly scary, but 81% of originators do not have a continuity plan for their database. They have an auto marketing plan. Okay, all that does is confuse things and create more paper clutter and de-emphasizes the relationship. They have an auto marketing plan. They may have a call plan. Most don't. But only 19% of originators have a harvesting plan where they're actually meeting with people on a regular basis, where they're actually calling their database on a regular basis, where they're actually doing credit reviews and annual mortgage reviews and doing those types of things. So there's a point in time where you have to go from hunting to harvesting. Now, the risk is if anybody that you have hunted once that you're harvesting, for whatever reason, retires or gets out of the business or maybe dies, all those are truths about relationship longevity. So you should always be looking to the harvested client is your best way to hunt a new client. Yep. And if I don't harvest the client and I don't have the relationship with the client, then I got to go cold call hunt instead of warm call hunt. So the value of continuity and the value of harvesting, because harvesting requires you to nurture, right? And nurturing requires you to connect, and connecting requires you to have deeper and different conversations that plant the seeds of trust that you can harvest for a lifetime.
Awesome.
Well said.
I mean, I just took a full page of notes there. So what are some primary questions? I believe, obviously, in asking, as a leader, you got to ask yourself questions, right? You have to, ask yourself the right questions before you just ask your clients great questions. And two primary questions that Sarah and I are always asking is, number one, how can we wow our clients? We're in the service business, just like mortgage brokers are, just like you are. We're all service people. So one of our primary questions is, how can we wow our clients? Because we're not even going to retain our salespeople or our team if we're not actually helping the clients at the end of the day, right? So if you're not helping do more loan, if you're not actually adding value to that borrower, you're not going to have a business that can be built on retention, right? And every business needs to be built on retaining first and then growing from there. So how can we wow our clients? That's one of Sarah and I's primary questions. The other one is, how can we add more value, right? Innovate or die. So it's like, as the mortgage industry changes and, different systems change and social media and everything that's happened the last 5, 10, 20 years changes, we have to keep adding that question, how can we add more value? Not just so that we can help the end client, but then we also need to stay relevant, right? So how can we innovate to add more value? And our other primary question is, how can we wow our clients? So those are two of our primary questions. And I'm just curious for you, because you have a huge business, huge following, 25 years doing this. You are really the picture of retention and building a business on raving fans and loyal people that come back because you keep adding value. What are two primary questions that you ask yourself when you're trying to figure out how to make yourself and your business more valuable?
Yeah. So the question that I ask every day is, how can I make an impact that will last a lifetime? It's way beyond wow. Wow is an anticipated and expected deliverable today. You really can't play in the mortgage space or any business space without having some degree of exceptional delivery of your service, right? And that's important. I don't want to discount that, but I think wow has been overused so much that it's lost its power. Just like knowing your why, as important as that is, it has been so overused that it's lost its power. But in this dialogue with you guys, Adam and Sarah, it would be, what can I do today that will make an impact in a person's life that will last forever, right? That is off the charts, deeper and bigger than how can I return a phone call before they expect me to return it and therefore then wow them. So how can I make an impact? And then how can I remain relevant? We're in a very disruptive time in our life right now. We've got a lot of digital influence that's happening. We have a lot of, I think, prying for our time in terms of how do we compete in the marketplace. And I want to get back to maybe a fundamental, and that is that if I don't connect with you as a human being first, there is no possibility that I can convert you to a client that I can serve forever. And so I'm changing, and in fact, at Sales Mastery, I'm going to unveil the top 5 things that you can do to emotionally connect with a client. And what we know about emotional connection, and this is going to blow your mind, you guys. It'll blow all the Cutco users' mind. It'll blow the industry's mind. We do a horrible job at marketing for retention. We do a horrible job in this industry. And what I want you to understand is that less is more. And in terms of connection and in terms of conversion, this is the heart of it. We must, as an industry, we must turn down the promotion and turn up the emotion. And if I can turn up the emotion and I can have real conversations, I wrote this down for our time. I wrote down, literally, these are notes I wrote down before we got on this. I wrote down, if we could have larger, deeper, wondrous conversations with clients that seed trust and enlarge connection, there is no limit to what we can achieve.
That's the ticket.
That's it right there. If we have larger, deeper, more wondrous conversations that seed trust and enlarge the connection,
yeah,
the opportunities are endless.
So let's say I'm Rainmaker LO and I'm sitting here and I do 500 loans a year and I have 6,000 clients and been doing this for a long time, and I'm hearing that. My immediate thought is, that's great, but I'm doing 50 loans a month. How do I scale that over so much volume, right? So the question of deep versus wide starts to come in, right? Like, go very deep or go wide, or how do you do both, right? So that would be my next question.
Yeah. So you know what? I think that I think at the end of the day, and we're on our way to Australia next week, and we're going to be down there for 21 days. We've got 6 different presentations, and one of the clients wants us to talk about the power of segmentation in your database. So the thing I came across in my own book, High Trust Selling, funny when you look at your own books, for what am I going to talk about? But I have a diagram in there that is a diagram about a shallow and wide approach to business, which you can make a fortune at, okay? Or a deeper, narrower way to do business in which you can make a bigger fortune at. And the interesting thing is, do I want to get one loan from 500 people, or do I want to get 100 loans from 5 people?
Yes.
And in the segmentation of our database, and in your initial questions, you guys, about retention and lifetime value, What I don't want to do is I don't want to have one and done as my strategy to build
Transactional.
wealth. I do not want to be that. And Sarah, you're absolutely right. I want to move from a transactional mindset. In fact, I got asked on an interview last week about what was the biggest decision you ever made as a loan officer that you can pin your success to without question. And I said, the biggest decision I made as a loan officer, I was 23 years old, and my decision was, I'm going to focus on relationships, and I'm going to bet the farm that that will produce transactions. I am not going to focus on getting loans. And if I focus on the relationship and I build powerful connection with the relationship, I'll never have to worry about the transactions. Now, in an agent LO hunter mindset, that can make a lot of sense. But how many LOs today are even calling on 30 or 40 or 50 real estate agents and not getting anywhere near the volume they could get by segmenting, right? Now we go to the database. So I think about the database, and I think about the 80-20 rule, and I think about productivity, and I think about all that. And what the argument can be in the database is that if I have 100 people, the rule is 80 of those are going to be influencers, but 20 of those are going to be superchargers, right? The 20 are going to do far more volume if I focus on them than the 80 in terms of retained value. So I would say to the 500, to the question again, I would say, what do you want to do to scale? I wouldn't try to go to 1,000 by doubling what you did to get to 500. What I'd do is I'd look at, what am I doing to do 50 loans a month, 600 loans a year? What can I do to get 100 and not spend 1 ounce of money, time, or energy on marketing, but rather connect? And for every one I'm getting, the same person who gives me the 1, how can right there they give me a 2 or a 3 or a 4? So this begs the question, what do you guys do at point of sale? So watch this. If I don't connect with a borrower at point of sale, there's no way they're going to refer me if I luck out and get the deal anyway. If I get the deal and I connect with them and I don't ask for introduction to their ecosystem, then I'm leaving thousands of dollars a month in commissions on the table. So I've got to connect, because then that accelerates trust, and the trust seed planted enlarges the population of people that I can do business with. So this cycle it's huge. It's just huge. It's just huge. We got one guy, let me tell you the story. One guy, excuse me. Mm-hmm. We got one guy that we have a lot, but one guy in particular that I'm coaching has used the methodology I just told you guys about, and in 3 months has landed Hitachi. And in his marketplace, with what I just talked about, he's landed 2 Hitachi plants with 2,700 borrowers.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, now watch this. If he retraces, which he's done, where the person who knew the person who opened the door at Hitachi was originally referred to, let's call it an agent, what just happened in that agent relationship? So the agent now, because of the lender and because of the mindset I've just shared with all of your tribe, has now 2,700 potential listings and purchases.
Wow. I just got chills.
Right on, right?
That's multiplying things.
It's totally, you can grow your business 1 at a time, or you can grow your business 100 times.
And these people are often already in your sphere.
Right.
And you need to go back to those people and, dig in deeper. And Adam and I often say, our clients, and the way that we approach things as well, it's not a transaction. That's where the relationship begins. Yeah. And we are really constantly bringing that value to them to help them get the best return from different systems. So it ties right in. You can look at the 80-20, but when you are able to identify those people in your sphere, your database, whatnot, and dig in with them at a higher level, you can take things to a completely different place. And you had mentioned, obviously, sales mastery and some things being unveiled. We have really enjoyed networking, working with so many of those top producers and just people really making it happen. Because, being that we're in the business of branding tools that happen, generally when a transaction's closed, we're very well aware of who is actually producing and who isn't.
Yeah.
So it's some great conversations, but we're playing a pretty big role in Sales Mastery this year, and kind of curious about what else to expect on the agenda, Todd. What other really, great things are ahead? 25 years and just so much. I mean, we're pretty excited.
It's a blessing. And by the way, I could not, my team could not, we could not have an event that has this history to it if it's not for vendor partners like you that we have deep relationship with, and certainly the loan officers and leaders that entrust their people to the Sales Mastery brand, right? And so the idea of what do you do in the 25th year? Well, you definitely have to celebrate, and so there are some surprises around celebration, but you definitely have to prepare. And here's the interesting thing. The longer a legacy is created, the more important it is to sustain what got it there, right? So we're elevating a lot of elements of Sales Mastery this year. But at the end of the day, it's about breaking through. And it's about this idea that there is a tug of war that goes on in the mind space of a human being between can I or can't I? And the breakthrough is never achieved with a I can't mentality. And the breakthrough is always at the end of a series of attempts that usually result in a breakdown. And a breakdown needs to be visually healthy to the individual. The breakdown has to be arguably internalized as a stepping stone towards the breakthrough. So part of this is going to be mindset, and part of this is going to be stamina and patience and staying power. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to unveil in 4 days 25 breakthrough strategies, one per year for the 25 years that we are celebrating Sales Mastery. And to help do that, we're bringing in personalities that are in the marketplace that have achieved great breakthroughs. We're showcasing Jojo Romeo, who is the star of the new Bravo show, Real Estate Wars. And her story is so powerful on how she went from breakdown to breakthrough, and in 6 years has sold $400 million in real estate. What goes into how do you recover from setbacks, and how do you use the negative to absolutely claim the positive? How do you go from victim to victor, right? And so it's going to be highly emotional, highly personal, but highly tactical. And my goal at the end is to have every human being that's in that room at Sales Mastery be impacted on both a personal internal level, soulful, heart, spirit, and then the more practical aspects of how do I take this to my life externally? How do I live my life purposefully? How do I do business more intentionally? How do I profit more, strategically, and all those things. So it's going to be fun. We're jacked up that you guys are part of it, and we've loved our relationship with you. It's so fun to walk the vendor hall and just see you guys in action, to see all the people that clamor around the Cutco booth, because it's such a powerful strategy. So we love you guys. Yeah.
Thanks. We love you too, man. And I can say too, Todd, just to show you, I've been looking at, these are my notes, from last year's events, and I'll read them. These are my Todd Duncan quotes and my notes from my phone, because, I love the strategies and the 25 and becoming more profitable and learning everything, but you always get some super valuable nuggets that are really, in my opinion, a game changer in business, life, and just your mindset. And last year you said, and I wrote these down, I shared them with Sarah, and I no joke, look at these almost every day. Faith is having conviction in things that are not yet seen. That just really, because we're learning too, even as the vendors. And the other quote was, courage is letting go of something good for the unknown, which could be great. And both of those quotes, man, I mean, they just rocked me. We're talking about patience, and we're talking about the philosophy of, going from 500 loans with one client to 100 loans from 5 people. And there is just an element of, okay, if you're going to change your business or implement any of these 25 strategies, you have to have an element of faith that it's going to work, right? You have to have conviction in things that aren't yet seen, and you have to have the courage to maybe let go of what's working, right? Just like Tiger Woods, when he was the #1 golfer in the world, decided to change his entire swing, right? Yeah. So sometimes you got to let go of what's good to get to the unknown, which can be great, just like your example of the guy who just landed the huge account and everything from doing it the right way. So I think there's an element of when you go being not only open, but open to surrendering to things that you're learning and having that breakdown. I thought that was super interesting what you just said. In order to get a breakthrough, sometimes first you got to have a breakdown. And a lot of high achievers have pretty high egos. They got to be really open to surrendering and almost having a breakdown to get to the next level. So what would you say is the best way to come into this? Just open, or, willing to, or, just having an open mind, or coming in expecting like, hey, this is what I want to work on, having something specific, and I'm willing to be broken down in order to get to the next level. How should people be coming to the event? What should be their mindset?
Question.
Yeah, that's a huge question. Let me say just a couple things. One is that this idea of rebranding our organization and to the High Trust Company, we have a super deep desire, and we always have, to make sure that what we present from stage is truth, and what we present from stage is proven and it works. So I want everybody that's viewing this to just contemplate, what truth do you need about where you're at? And that involves you considering this. It involves all of us as we want to scale our life to be vulnerable and to be real and to have rigorous conversations about what we don't like in our life and what we want to move away from, as much as the same conversations of what are we doing well, but we could accelerate, how we execute that. And I want to make sure that if you're viewing this and considering this, sales mastery is not just about how to improve business. It literally is about how to master your life to the extent that we can achieve and get more juice out of this gift that we have called the human breath. So whether you want to scale back and figure out how to be more efficient, it may not even be about 500 loans a year. In fact, for most people, it's going to be, how do I get another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 loans a month without working any harder? How can I make an extra $10,000 a month without working an extra hour? And sales mastery is for anybody that wants to play at a different level, and presumably then obviously a higher level. The interesting thing about breakdowns is everybody, or breakthroughs I should say, everybody wants one, but few are prepared to endure the breakdowns. They're actually the scientific accelerator or jet fuel or catalyst to the breakthrough. And if you think about two things. You think about state of mind and you think about strategy, right? You got those two things. When those two things are right, you can focus in and you can develop a piercing of resistance and inertia and gravity that can get you through. And then on the other side, you look back and go, wow, right? That's what a breakthrough is. We got a guy that's going to be on stage that went from $72 an hour to $600 an hour in 12 months being in our coaching program. How do you do that? How do you get a 600% improvement in your hourly rate in 12 months? You know what? You have a breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been working close with some of the companies that High Trust is really digging in with. And of course, we've only heard great things, Todd. But you just nailed it. And we're going to figure out I haven't talked with Adam exactly, but some way in sharing the great content in this video, which is only a fraction of what's going to happen at Sales Mastery. Adam, we're going to give away a couple tickets to Sales Mastery to some of our
it's huge, you guys.
To our viewers. Yeah, and we're so excited to connect with all of our clients, meet new ones, see you, Todd, and just we really appreciate your time today. I know you've got to hop on another event, but just thank you so much for sharing, and we look forward to seeing you.
Todd, thanks so much, man. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. I'm going to close with a metaphor. I'm seriously. Part of what's going to happen at Mastery is we're going to cut away all the stuff that is clouding your judgment, that's getting in the way of you materializing the kind of life that you want. We're going to prune the bush. We're going to get rid of all the dead stuff. We're going to get rid of all the things that hold you back. And at the end of Sales Mastery, you're going to be set for greatness. And we love you guys. We love our Cutco relationship. For everybody that is not clear on what Cutco's commitment to you is, it is to help you develop relationships that last a lifetime. And so trust these guys, trust Adam and Sarah. We have for a long time. They have for a long time with us. And we're going to have a lot of fun in San Diego, October 3rd through the 6th. So be there.